Macmillan Audio presents Happy at Last, The Thinking Person's Guide to Finding Joy by Richard O'Connor, Ph.D. Read for you by Rick Adamson. Introduction. Happiness is at a dead end. For centuries, one of the basic operating principles of Western society has been the belief that increasing prosperity will lead automatically to greater happiness. But now, for the first time, we have the data to prove that's just not so. In the USA and Europe, in the last 50 years since scientists started measuring personal happiness reliably, people continue to report that they are less and less happy every year, although personal wealth continues to increase. As other nations become more westernized and prosperity spreads around the globe, happiness declines as well. This theory that most of us unconsciously buy into, if I get rich, then I'll be happy, doesn't work. In fact, what seems to work is the opposite. If I get rich, I'll get depressed and anxious. Rates of depression and anxiety disorders are zooming into the stratosphere in Western countries. Other social indicators we can assume are linked with unhappiness are climbing as well. Divorce, illegal drug use, incarceration rates, poor educational performance, violence, obesity. So wealth is not the answer. Maybe it's a good thing to face that now, because those of us in the West are probably at the very pinnacle of personal wealth, looking downhill from here on. In fact, it's likely that the United States passed the peak of personal wealth without much fanfare about 25 years ago, because ever since then, we've been working longer and longer hours to maintain the same standard of living. Still, whether the peak is in the recent past or the near future, the long-term outlook is tough simply because the global economy means there's a great leveling coming. All the billions of people in China, India, and Africa want our standard of living too. Because energy and other resources are finite, as their slices of pie get larger, ours will get smaller. Look at the cost of gasoline in the United States over the past 5 years. Sure, some of the increase comes from profit-taking and price gouging, but most of it is due to the fact that there's some newly wealthy guy in Shanghai who wants gas too. It's not bad enough that wealth doesn't bring happiness. Wealth itself is going to be harder and harder to get. It's time for a revolution. This is going to be a small revolution, however. Although government could do a much better job than it does, government can't provide the solution to happiness. The revolution in happiness has to come at a personal level, mostly at an individual level, although our relationships with others can help too. If you've read any of my previous books, you know that I've identified myself as someone with clinical depression. While someone with clinical depression might seem to be the last person qualified to write a guide to happiness, that's not actually the case. Here's why my patients and I, other fellow depression sufferers, are your canaries in the coal mine. We suffer from what's known as depressive realism, the tendency to see things without comforting illusions. We've been facing the realities of life for a long time, and we can help you as those realities become sharper and tougher, as they are going to do. Besides that, depressed people know that the ability to experience happiness again is the very last symptom of depression to lift, and we've had to work hard to get there. I've done my share of that hard work, and at this point, I feel more joyful and content with my lot than I ever have before. I've learned a lot along the way, and I want to share it with you. If I can make it with one metaphorical hand tied behind my back, so can you. I've also helped some very unhappy people. I've been a therapist for almost 30 years, and I've seen a lot. People who were raised by or married to sadists or sons of bitches. People who've been raped, abused, bullied, discriminated against, and tortured. People who were there at 9/11. People who've had cancer, stroke.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?